It is absolutely true that in the 48 hours after the election, a lot of very upset leftists started pulling back from political content. I was hit by it.
No, not from political content, from your political content.
I have to be able to talk about it,
them about everything.
I have to be able to talk. I have to be able to get a word in. Unless you just want Dave Rubin to talk. Let me know, Piers.
I love hearing Dave Rubin talk.
I would prefer that.
Thank you, Piers.
No, if there's no rebuttal allowed, then I won't rebut.
You've probably done most of the talking so far, so why don't you do a bit more talking?
I'll say this and then I'll be quiet the rest of the show.
David Pakman, the guy who was practically begging for subscribers after Trump's 2024 win, decided to go on Piers Morgan uncensored. And let me tell you, it did not go well for him. The entire panel took turns tearing into him, except for Brian Tyler Cohen, his friend, who sat quietly in his corner. Both of them, by the way, have been struggling ever since Kamala Harris's big loss in the election. But here's where it gets wild. Pakman made a statement so out there, it fired up everyone on the show, even Piers Morgan. What followed was a full-on pile-on, live on TV. And trust me, it's a moment you don't want to miss. Let's roll the clip and break down exactly what happened.
Panel now to respond to what our two liberal friends are saying.
I'll be trans if it'll give me a chance to talk.
You've had so many shows.
There's something
on trans
actually
people,
there. There's something there, Dave.
It's always some gay person that's talking on our behalf. So I'm really excited today to talk about how everyone here is wrong. David, I love your show. I consider you a friend.
I can't be wrong.
You and the Democrats are completely wrong about what trans people need. We don't need you advocating for, trans vaginoplasties in prison. We need to retreat back to the basics of what we need, which is HRT and healthcare. And the problem is the Democrats have been captured by this fringe left. They've redefined what trans means to all this non-binary nonsense and all this stuff that has nothing to do with how we got our rights in the first place. Ben, you can appreciate this. I was the first trans person to ever transition at Ole Miss, our alma mater. That was very, very difficult. It was 20 years ago, toddy. And the thing is, the way I got equality and got people to respect me in Mississippi was not by screaming at them or lecturing them about my pronouns. It was getting them to see my humanity. This is something trans people have just completely lost. And the problem is the Democratic Party is unwilling to call out these bad actors. And because of this, we are having a conversation that does not serve trans people. Piers, I am begging you on this show, stop inviting these stupidest leftists on to make the argument for trans civil rights. Let some people actually understand this stuff. And Dave is laughing because you understand integration as a gay man. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You've done the same playbook your whole career.
Well,
this works. This is
first
how you
off,
got
I'm only gay. I'm only gay starting at 10 p.m. What time is it? We'll have to check on that. But actually, you're completely right. Brianna, you're completely right. What's happening with the left is that these saviors, these progressive warriors that you see in these boxes here, think that they know more about these people than they know about themselves.
Absolutely ridiculous.
And by the way, this has nothing to do with a well-funded evil money machine that the Republicans were doing. There's something called boys and girls. And
Ruben's the right guy to talk about that, isn't he?
Most parents, oh God, you're such a smug prick. Listen, most parents actually want to defend their daughters and don't want them to have the crap kicked out of them by boys. And they don't want them to be playing boys in soccer or any of these other things. That is a defense of girls. If someone, as an adult, 18, 21, we can discuss the age, wants to dress how they want, have any surgeries, take whatever drugs, do whatever they want with their body. Most people, even Republicans, don't object to that. And I have no problem referring to Brianna as she, because I can clearly sense she would treat me with respect and I'll treat her with respect. And it's a two-way street rather than pandering and bowing to a bunch of people that could not give a crap about anybody else.
Yeah, and David, let me bring in David Pakman again, because you were very quick when I asked how you felt about being so wrong about this, to accuse me of being misleading, disinformation, misconstruing a United Nations report. So because we're a very nimble team here, while you were talking, they just went and double-checked, because I was curious what you were talking about. And we found, we found the United Nations report. And it's not a footnote, as you said, it's page 5 of the report. It says, and I quote, the United Nations says nearly 900 biological females have fallen short of the podium because they were beaten out by trans athletes. The findings were compiled by the UN's Rapporteur on Violence Against Women, entitled Violence Against Women and Girls in Sport. The report said more than 600 athletes didn't medal in more than 400 competitions in 29 different sports, totaling over 890 medals. The replacement of the female sports category with a mixed-sex category has resulted in an increasing number of female athletes losing opportunities, including medals, when competing against males, the report said. So, David, again, would you like to now apologize for being not only wrong about this being an election issue, but being wrong about your correction when I asked you if you were sorry for being wrong?
Look at the underlying source, Piers. I have it printed out.
You said it was a
in the other
footnote.
room.
It wasn't a
Look
footnote.
at the underlying source.
This is classic David Pakman. It's the same playbook we've seen from the left time and time again. Piers Morgan makes a claim, backs it up with evidence, and then Pakman moves the goalpost. First, it's where are the facts, like he's done in other interviews. Then, as soon as Piers brings the facts, it's, oh, that source isn't credible. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter what the source is. If it's not left-leaning Pakman and people like him, whether it's Destiny, Brian Tyler Cohen, or others, will shut it down without a second thought. Why? Because their strategy is simple. Only left-leaning sources are valid. And let's be honest, those sources aren't going to cover anything that makes the left look bad. That's why they can keep this game going endlessly. They make whatever claims they want, dismiss anything they don't like, and brush off counterpoints by attacking the source. It's not about finding the truth. It's about controlling the narrative. And honestly, this is just another example of how Pakman always operates. Let me know in the comments if you've noticed this too.
Now, I do want to say one thing about this. I actually agree with a lot of what Brianna and what Dave Rubin said. I actually agree with it. I am not the savior here to do X, Y, or Z for trans people. What I'm saying is I don't actually think I even need to play that role. I don't think this is the issue that maybe you think I believe it to be. So I agree with a lot of what Dave Rubin and Brianna said there. I do think it's important to consider that when Dave Rubin talks about well-funded this or that, his Russian money source just dried up, and he's the last person who should be talking about funding sources. And to be honest, Dave, hold on a second. Hold on. Now Ben's jumping. Everybody's jumping. Hold on a second. I can't even hear Ben. Why would Ben jump in? I'm not even addressing Ben.
Hang on. You made a very direct charge against Dave Rubin. Let Dave Rubin reply to that.
Because no one believes your BS anymore. Jesus Christ, these people are so pathetic.
They've been indicted, Rubin. The Tenet Media people were indicted.
I got
indicted. And it said in the report, if you weren't a smug prick, to quote him
earlier,
I didn't
say Rubin was indicted. I just said the money dried up.
Dave Rubin and the others involved did not know about it. And this is why people think you're kind of a jackass.
Yes.
Let's break this down. David Pakman's argument doesn't really hold up when you think about it. Taking money from a Russian person isn't a crime. The real issue would be if someone knowingly took that money to spread Russian propaganda. That's the key difference. So if Dave Rubin hasn't been indicted, that means there's no evidence showing he knew anything or did anything wrong. But here's the thing. Why even bring it up unless you're trying to suggest he knew? That's the only reason to mention it. Pakman's basically trying to plant the idea that Rubin could have been involved, even though there's no proof. And then he backpedals saying, I didn't say Rubin was indicted. I just said the money dried up. Okay, but if that's all it is, what's the point of mentioning it? If you're not saying Rubin knew, if you're not saying he was involved in spreading propaganda, then why bring it up? It feels like a deliberate attempt to throw shade without presenting actual evidence. This is exactly why people get frustrated with commentators like Pakman. It's not about facts. It's about stirring doubt, creating drama, and making baseless insinuations. If there were anything real here, Rubin would already be facing charges, but he's not.
This is why everyone hates
putting words in my mouth.
This is the reason why you read the report. And by the way, Pakman, if this happened to you, And in the
Ben's
report,
coming
it
to
said
his
you were
defense
unaware.
there.
If it said that you were unaware, I would defend you because I don't think you indict people for things.
I'm
When the federal
defending
government
Dave.
says in the
I'm
indictment,
defending
You know what's
Dave Rubin.
hilarious?
in the indictment,
You know
I'm
what?
defending
they
him.
had no knowledge of the money where it was coming from. So don't be a
I'm
jackass.
defending
Just
Dave
be a
on that
jackass.
note. But the money dried up.
Pac-Man,
You're being a
That's
tool,
great.
man.
you
That's
are
great.
no
Can we
real
talk about
Pac-Man,
trans
which I'm
people
quite good
some more?
at.
Can we get back to this?
You know,
and then
there's
the
a
left
reason,
versus right
Piers, there's a reason
match?
that everyone, there's a reason that everyone hates progressives. And the reason that everyone hates
This one they
progressives,
lost.
it's not just that they're wrong about all of the issues and they will lie and their only real goal is power. It's because they're also smug elitists. And Pac-Man, I did see online the other day, you were crying because your audience is purging you and you're running out of subscribers and you're
Let's
in a
talk about
doom
that.
loop because, and the reason is no one gives, Piers, pardon me, a shit about this woke bullshit anymore. We've had it, and now you guys can sit back and be quiet. You want to talk about people being paid for their ideas?
Just let me address this.
It's you people who have had the entire cultural machine for 20 years. You've had all of entertainment. You have had all of Hollywood. You have had all of music. You've had all your P. Diddy parties and Epstein and everything else. And now
And don't
enough
forget
of
all the
us
money
have
that just
had
played
it.
to
So
Beyonce.
crawl back into your
Hold on a
little
second.
irrelevant cave. It's time, bro.
Can I address any of that, Piers? Is that
Sure.
allowed?
Sure.
Okay. It is absolutely true that in the 48 hours after the election, a lot of very upset leftists started pulling back from political content. I was hit by it.
No, not from
Brian was
political
hit by
content,
it.
from your
Hold on a
political
sec. I
content
have to
because
be
you
able
were
to talk
lying
about
to
it,
them
though.
about everything.
I have to be able to talk. I have to be able to get a word in.
Bingo.
Unless you just want Dave Rubin to talk. Let me know, Piers.
I love hearing Dave
I would
Rubin
prefer
talk.
that.
Thank you,
Okay.
Piers.
No, if there's no rebuttal allowed, then I won't rebut.
You've probably done most
After
of the
four-
talking so far, so why don't you do a bit more talking?
I'll say this and then I'll be quiet the rest of the show.
Because Brian hasn't said anything for ages. I want to bring him in.
The theme, I want Brian to win. That completely reversed. I do think that it must be that Dave is upset that Brian and I have surpassed him in viewership and subscribers. Because if you just look at the numbers,
What are
it
you
lasted
talking about? My
48
channel had
hours.
100
Can we
They
get
all
back to
came
the real
back.
issues
I don't
here,
even know
Piers?
who
That's
this
it.
other guy
Well,
is. I've never
look, if
seen
it's
him
going to
before.
come to that, I'm the biggest rocket
Yeah.
in the room, right? I mean,
You
it's
see,
like
but
as
this
Trump,
is the-
as Trump said to Kim Jong-un, you got your little rocket, I got my big rocket. So let's not get into the size of each other's YouTube rocket.
But that's the smug nonsense. Nobody cares about that.
It's the
You know,
facts, Dave.
Pac-Man, I
Dave
honestly have
calls
no
anything
idea what your
inconvenient.
Let me bring in
smug.
Brian.
I
Let
have
me
no
bring in
idea
Brian.
what your
It's
views are,
inconvenient.
but I couldn't care less. I know your ideas are terrible. Like, I don't
let-
care what your views are. Who cares?
Let me
It's pretty ironic that David Pakman was the one to bring up a rocket measuring contest, as Piers Morgan called it. You can tell how much people like Pakman care about status, clout, and numbers, more than the actual issues. The way he panicked over losing 10,000 subscribers, it shows where his priorities really are. And let's break this down. Losing subscribers might seem like a huge deal, but on YouTube, it's not the game changer he's making it out to be. These days, subscribers barely matter. Most people don't even use the subscription feed. They rely on the homepage to find videos. Subscriptions are really just a vanity metric. They feed the ego, not the content. But here's the funny part. Pakman used that subscriber loss as a way to push sales and memberships. Instead of reflecting on why his audience is tuning out, he turned it into a sales pitch. He basically said, I'm losing subscribers, so give me money. It's so obvious what's really going on. This isn't about rebuilding trust or addressing issues. It's about protecting his platform and his bottom line. This kind of thinking is why the left is losing. People are tired of the same empty promises and echo chambers. They're waking up to the fact that they've been lied to, comforted by narratives that just aren't true. And then reality hit hard when Trump not only won the Electoral College, but also took the popular vote. That was a wake-up call they couldn't ignore. Let me know in the comments what you think about Pakman's meltdown and his desperate attempts to spin the situation. And what about the way the entire Piers Morgan panel took him apart, with the exception of his buddy Brian Tyler Cohen? Share your thoughts below, like this video if you're enjoying it, and stick around for more reactions.